All right, welcome in everyone to a deep dive. Today, we're going deep on something, well, it's kind of like the secret sauce of a good school experience, you know?
Ooh, I like that secret
Is that
sauce.
feeling of, well, of being cared for, like really cared for, not just like, a head count. And we're not just talking about teachers here.
Right, it's the whole ecosystem.
Exactly. It's teachers, it's classmates, it's that sense of belonging, right? And how all of that actually fuels a kid's, well, their desire to actually learn and do well.
It's funny, isn't it? Like, we kind of all get that on some level, right? Like, if you feel seen, if you feel like someone's got your back, you're more likely to put yourself out there.
Totally. But we're not just going to rely on gut feelings here. We're going deeper.
Mhm.
We've got this fascinating article, actually. It's called Does Anybody Care? Catchy title, right?
It grabs you, doesn't it?
It's from Educational Psychology Review. And it really dives into the nitty-gritty of why this care thing is so powerful.
The research behind it, how it plays out in classrooms, how they even measure something like that, all the good stuff.
So our mission today, if you choose to accept it, is to pull out the golden nuggets from this article.
And in.
Figure out how this feeling of being cared for by teachers, by friends, by the whole school community even, actually sparks that inner drive to learn.
Love it. So, the article basically starts out with this premise. Feeling cared for isn't some cutesy extra, it's foundational.
Right, like square one.
Before textbooks, before lesson plans, it's this basic human need to feel connected, to feel valued, that sets the stage for a kid to actually want to learn.
It's almost like if you feel invisible or like you don't matter, why would you even bother to try, you know?
Exactly. And the article digs into this through two big lenses, ecological and developmental perspectives.
Okay, break that down for me.
Sure. Think about it like this. A student isn't just this lone wolf in a classroom, right? They're part of all these interconnected systems. Their classroom, their friends, their family even, the whole school community. And how they grow and learn is shaped by those environments and by the relationships within them.
So it's like a web.
Right. Exactly. And here's the kicker. It's not a one-way street. It's not just teachers pouring care into students or, friends offering support. It's a constant exchange, back and forth, what they call transactional dyadic relationships, teacher and student, student and student.
So like a mini society. Everyone's giving and receiving.
Precisely. And that leads to this cool concept, representations of relationship affordances.
Try saying that 3 times fast.
Right. It's a mouthful. But it basically means, how does a student perceive the support that's available to them? Can they go to their teacher for help without fear of judgment? Will their friends listen when they're struggling?
So it's not just whether the support's actually there, it's whether the student feels like they can access it.
Right. If they think they'll be rejected or made fun of, they're less likely to take risks, ask questions, all those things that help them learn.
Makes sense. Now, the article also briefly mentions this idea of group-level relationship systems. What's that all about?
So this kind of zooms out a bit. It's that feeling of care and belonging that can come from being part of a supportive classroom or maybe a close-knit group of friends. Even if you don't have a one-on-one connection with everyone, being part of a positive, encouraging group, that matters.
Okay, so we've got this foundation of what care looks like in school. Let's zero in on teacher-student relationships. The article talks about all these different theoretical models. What are the key takeaways?
Yeah, and there are some really important models out there, like big names in education research, who basically say teachers, they're not just information dispensers, right? They're social and emotional anchors for kids.
You set the tone?
Exactly. And the article points to a few key ways teachers show they care.
Hit me.
Teacher support, being there for students, being responsive, understanding their individual needs.
Like a good coach, almost.
Yes. And teacher involvement, showing genuine interest in a kid's learning and their well-being as a whole person.
Not just their test scores.
Exactly. Then there's structure, right? Clear expectations, consistent boundaries, that kind of thing. That makes kids feel safe and cared for.
Makes sense. Like knowing what to expect.
Exactly. And finally, this is big. Autonomy support, giving students a voice, choices, encouraging them to think for themselves.
Empowering them.
Yes. It shows you respect them, value their perspective.
Now, this isn't just like pie in the sky theory. There's actual research backing this up.
Tons of it. The article digs into the work of Belmont and colleagues in '98, Deci and Ryan's self-determination theory, that was a big one in '81, and Wellborn and Connell back in '88.
Just decades of research, basically.
Yeah. Deci and Ryan, for example, their theory is all about how we all crave autonomy, competence, and relatedness, like basic human needs. And caring teachers, they tap into that. They create this environment where kids feel seen, which then fuels their internal motivation. Like they want to learn for the sake of learning, not just for a grade.
It's like when a teacher actually figures out how you learn best or lets you have some say in how you tackle a project. It's like, whoa, they get me.
Right, you feel valued. And that feeling, it ripples outwards. The whole classroom becomes a more positive, supportive place. There's this research by Cabello and Terrell back in '94 and another by Hayes and colleagues that same year. And they found that classrooms with teachers who are seen as caring, they're just warmer, more welcoming places for
It's
everyone.
like a feedback loop, right? The
Yeah.
care creates a better environment, which then fosters more care.
Totally. And the article makes this really interesting point about perspective. They talk about how teachers and students, they don't always see the relationship the same way.
Yeah.
So a teacher might think, oh, I have a great relationship with the student, but the student might not feel it or vice versa.
Yeah.
And research has actually looked into this, like Brinkworth and their team in 2018 and Muller and others back in '99. It turns out there can be these disconnects. And to really get the impact of care, we got to look at both sides of the coin.
So, like, is there a mismatch in communication styles? Does the teacher need to understand a student's individual needs better? Those kinds of things.
Exactly. It's nuanced. So bottom line, when these caring teacher-student relationships click, what happens? What's the payoff for the student?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question.
Right. Well, there's a mountain of research saying it leads to better outcomes for kids. They're more engaged, more motivated. They adjust to school better. The article cites a bunch of key studies like Hughes's work in 2011 and 2012, Pianta and Hamre in 2009, Rorda and their group in 2011, and Wenzel, he's done a lot of work in this area like in '97 and 2016.
Big names.
Yeah. And the message is clear. When kids feel like their teachers genuinely care, they do better. Academically, emotionally, the whole package.
Wow. So feeling cared for, it's not just some feel-good thing. It's actually a huge driver of success in school.
Absolutely. And this has huge implications for how we think about education.
Big time.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered teacher care, but what about the care that happens between students? How does that play out?
Right. So just like with teachers, there are ways to understand care in peer relationships. Two big ones are friendship quality, so how close, how trusting, how supportive those friendships are, and peer acceptance, which is basically how much a student is liked and included by their classmates.
And friendships, let's be real, they're a huge part of school life, good or bad.
Oh, yeah. And the article talks about this idea of reciprocity in friendships, like how it's this give and take. Why is that so important when we're talking about care?
Good question.
Well, Lorson and Hardup, they did this research in 2002, and they basically found that healthy friendships, they're not one-sided.
It's not just one person doing all the supporting.
Right. It's this flow of care and support going both ways. Kids learn to both give and receive help, share their ups and downs. They know they can count on each other. And that feeling of being there for each other, that's a big part of feeling cared for.
So it's not just about the number of friends you have, it's about the quality of those friendships, how much care is being exchanged.
Exactly. The article really hammers home that friends are key for social support. Having someone to talk to when things are tough, for companionship, just having someone to share life with, and for that sense of belonging, like you're part of something. And research by like Hardup and Stevens in '97, Newcomb and Bagwell in '95, Eunice in '94, they all point to these really essential functions of friendship.
It's like having your own little tribe.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And thinking back to your own experience, like high school or even college, can you remember a teacher or a friend who really made you feel cared for? Like, how did that change things for you?
Well, absolutely. I mean, having a close friend who had my back, it made even the roughest days bearable. It's like you said, knowing you're not alone.
That matter.
It does. So tying it back to school, how do these caring peer relationships, how do they actually impact like academic success?
Yeah, that's a link we need to make.
Right. Well, the research is pretty clear on this too. Positive peer relationships, they're linked to all kinds of good stuff, like kids are more motivated to learn, they do better academically, and they just adjust better to school overall. The article mentions studies by Berndt and colleagues in '89, Ladd and others in 2009, Wenzel and Caldwell in '97, and even more recent stuff by Wenzel and others in 2004, 2018, and with Munks in 2016.
So it's like a snowball effect.
Right.
Good friendships lead to good things in school.
It really is. It's like having your own cheering squad.
Right.
Now, another piece of this puzzle is peer group norms.
So Ham and colleagues, they did this research in 2011, and they found that the values and attitudes of your friend group, they matter. If your friends think it's cool to do well in school, if they value learning, that creates a social environment where caring about academics is normal. But if your friends are like, school's for suckers, it can be really tough to stay motivated.
It's like peer pressure, but for good or bad.
Exactly. So it's not just about individual relationships, it's about the whole social context. Now, we've talked a lot about what care is and why it's important, but here's the big question. How do you actually measure something like that?
Right, because care, it's a feeling. Right, it's
Yeah.
subjective.
It is. And the article gets into how researchers actually turn this fuzzy concept into something they can study. So, for teacher support, they often use questionnaires that ask students about specific teacher behaviors, like how much does your teacher help when you're struggling? Are their instructions clear? Do you feel like you have a say in your learning? That kind of thing.
So they're trying to capture the student's experience of feeling cared for, not just what the teacher's doing.
Exactly. And for peer relationships, there are different approaches. One is using what are called sociometric measures. It's basically a way to map out who's friends with who hangs out together, that sort of thing. And then there are friendship quality questionnaires, like the Friendship Quality Scale that was developed by Bukowski and colleagues in '94. It asks kids about things like trust, emotional support, how often they have conflicts with their friends.
But I imagine trying to capture something as complex as a relationship in a questionnaire. That's got to be tricky, right?
It definitely is. The article acknowledges that measuring care, it's not a perfect science. How someone experiences care, it's personal, it's influenced by their past, their culture, the whole context of the relationship. So researchers have to be really mindful of all those nuances when they're designing studies and interpreting the results.
It's not just about checking boxes.
Right. So, wrapping up, the article touches on some of the big questions that are still out there, like where does the research go from here?
What are the big unknowns?
Well, for one, they're still trying to figure out exactly how different kinds of care, like emotional support versus practical help versus just feeling understood, how those different flavors of care impact different aspects of motivation, like does one type of care boost a kid's confidence more than another, that kind of thing. And then there's the whole cultural piece, right? How different cultures express and perceive care, that's huge. What might be seen as caring in one culture might not be in another.
Oh, for sure. Like different communication styles, different ways of showing affection.
Exactly. And that matters a lot when we're trying to create learning environments that feel supportive for all students.
So even though we know care is a big deal, there's still a lot to learn about how it works in all its messy, complicated glory.
That's the beauty of research, right? It's always evolving.
Well, this has been a truly fascinating deep dive into the power of care in school. I mean, for me, the big takeaway is how deeply connected a student's feeling of being cared for is to their willingness to learn, to really dive in and engage. It's not just a fluffy extra. It's like the bedrock, the foundation for real motivation.
I love that. And the more we understand about these dynamics, the better equipped we are to create those kinds of supportive, motivating learning environments for all students.
Absolutely. And on that note, here's something for everyone listening to chew on. Think back to your own school days or maybe the experiences of your own kids or someone you know. What specific things did teachers or friends do? What qualities did they have that really made you feel cared for, that made you want to learn? What would happen if we as a society really started paying attention to those things? Something to ponder. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.